Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar about the Preparing for Adulthood review process. My name is Vicky Jones and I work for Helen Sanderson Associates. This webinar is going to last for about half an hour, and after the presentation there'll be a question and answer session. At any time during the presentation you can type a question into the question box that you can see on the right of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the session. This webinar is going to be recorded today and will be available for you to see on our YouTube channel after today. I'll also be directing you to other resources and information during the presentation, and these can be found on our website. We'll be posting information on Twitter and Facebook too. In September 2014, the Children's and Families Act came into force, and one of the biggest changes in that was that the Statement of Educational Need and Learning Disability Assessments would be replaced by Education, Health and Care Plans. The Code of Practice says that local authorities will transfer children and young people with statements to the new system, and that no one should lose their statement and not have it replaced with an Education, Health and Care Plan simply because the system is changing. The transfer to Education, Health and Care Plans is going to be staggered over the next 4 years. Last month, the National Development Team for Inclusion, Helen Sanderson Associates and the Council for Disabled Children released a new toolkit to explore how person-centred approaches can help effectively transfer statements and learning disability assessments to Education, Health and Care Plans. You can download the toolkit from the Preparing for Adulthood website for more detailed information. So, what is a transfer review? Well, this replaces the annual review in the academic year in which a young person transfers to the new SEND system. It's a 3-step process which involves more than an annual review, and it will take longer, up to about 14 weeks. It requires an EHC assessment to decide what outcomes and provisions should be included in the Education, Health and Care Plan. In many cases, the assessment information in the existing statement will be used, and no more should be asked for if the existing advice is sufficient. Step 1 of the process is about reviewing existing information and gathering more if required. The local authority must decide whether a young person is eligible for an Education, Health and Care Plan, as well as if they're eligible for a personal SEN budget. If so, the indicative allocation must be available before the review. There then needs to be a decision as to who will be coordinating the plan for the young person. The first step is organising the review by thinking about how to keep the young person at the centre of the process, supporting the family to prepare and to participate fully, and making sure that all the information is available. There will need to be an analysis of the information already available and a coordinated approach to gathering more information if required. Professional assessments need to identify the young person's needs, what's working and not working from the professional perspective, and what the professional recommends for outcomes and provision. Step 2 is the Preparing for Adulthood review meeting to draft the Education, Health and Care Plan. This will be described in more detail in a minute, but for those of you already familiar with the person-centred reviews, don't worry. It's about 80% the same as the old style review. The main difference is the focus on aspirations, the important for or assess need heading, and that we look at what's working and not working from different perspectives around the 4 life outcome areas of moving towards higher education and employment, home and independence, good health, and friends, relationships and community inclusion. Step 3 is about agreeing the Education, Health and Care Plan. At this stage there should be a draft Education, Health and Care Plan with clear outcomes and suggested provision. The name of the education setting where the young person will attend must not be named at this stage. The suggested provision to meet the outcomes needs to be finalised by the family and clearly costed if the young person is using a personal budget. Parents or young people must be given an opportunity to comment on the draft plan and can request a particular educational setting is named in the plan. The Education, Health and Care Plan is then completed and agreed by the local authority. Parents or young people can appeal the contents of the final plan if they wish. Finally, copies are sent to the young person and family and the relevant people. So let's talk about the review meeting and how we prepare for it. The first step is organising the review by thinking about how to keep the young person at the centre of the process, supporting the family to prepare and fully participate, and making sure that all the information is available. If the young person already has a one-page profile or has had a person-centred review in the past, this information should be used along with other information from professionals. A meeting with the young person and the family could happen to gather some of this information, or a process called Living Live could be used. This is a process similar to Planning Live, where young people come together with support to gather information to develop their Section A and to share and learn about what is practical and possible in the local offer. There will need to be an analysis of the information already available and a coordinated approach to gathering more information if required. Professional assessments need to identify the young person's needs, what's working and not working from the professional's perspective, and what the professional recommends for outcomes and provision. Person-centred thinking tools will help to keep the young person at the centre of the process, and these should be used during face-to-face meetings with the young person to start gathering information. The relationship circle will help the plan coordinator to support the young person to think about who needs to be involved in the process. This can include who the young person wants to be there, as well as other people who need to be there. For example, post-16 providers, specialist advisors, or people responsible for transition in health or social care. If people can't attend, the plan coordinator needs to make sure that their contribution is included in a different way. The communication chart records how the young person can communicate and contribute. The decision-making profile and agreement will help to think about how best to support the young person to be involved in decision-making, and the one-page profile will help to think about the best ways to support the young person in the process in the context of the things that are important to them. Great practice is engaging the young person to design and send their own invitations to the review meeting. This can be done throughout the curriculum in language lessons, ITC or art lessons, or even during PHSE lessons. They can also be supported to prepare a short PowerPoint presentation to introduce the things that matter to them and their aspirations. They can do this by using photographs, symbols or other pictures, or using pre-prepared cards with writing on them, or even thinking about newer technology such as iBooks. Gathering information about aspirations can be difficult for some people. A really great way to do this is by using the aspirations tool. This is a simple tool that takes information from the one-page profile. It helps us to think about the young person's gifts and talents, the things that they like and we like and admire and appreciate about them. It then helps us to reflect on the things that are important to them. Once we've recorded this information, it guides us to think about the sort of person they'd like to be. For example, I'd like to be someone with lots of friends. I'd like to be someone who helps other people. I'd like to be the sort of person known for their hospitality. Then we think about what the young person wants to do in the future. This might be something about work, things they do in the community, things they do for themselves, or the things they can do for other people. These are what the young person will aspire to, and this can help inform the outcomes we agree using person-centred information. We developed this tool in a recent team meeting and had a go at it ourselves. I'm known in our team for my hospitality and my cooking skills. That's what people appreciate about me. What's important to me is learning new things and always being the first to read the Good Food magazine every month in our house. And so in what I want to do, I wrote that I'd like to go on a cookery course. My husband saw that, and to get brownie points, he booked us in on a cookery session in a Thai restaurant in Manchester. Note to self, be specific about your aspirations. What I would like to do is go on a cookery school at Rick Stein's in Padstow. It wasn't quite the same, but good fun, and he did get his brownie points. So we need to support the family and other people involved to gather information to bring to the review. We need to help them to think about their aspirations for the young person's future. what they know about what is important to them, what they know from their perspective about what is important for them to keep them healthy and safe and to grow and to learn, and the best ways of supporting the young person, as well as what's working and not working from their perspective about moving towards employment, independent living, having friends, relationships and community inclusion and being healthy. We've developed some preparation booklets that can help you to do this, and you'll be able to find them on the website soon. I'll let you know when through Facebook or Twitter, so keep an eye out. Professionals need to prepare the same information, but they may also need to bring a clear statement of any educational, health or social care need, as well as any specific information needed to support the young person, as well as their recommendations for outcomes and provision. Many professionals are used to preparing and reading reports for this type of meeting, so it's helpful to think about how to support professionals for the review meeting. They need to attend the meeting with good knowledge about what helps the young people with SEND achieve good life outcomes, and as also what is available through the local offer. Again, preparation booklets and information about the review is helpful, and examples again, as I said, will be available shortly. Creating a relaxed atmosphere for the review meeting is essential to get the best from the young person as well as the family and others who are there. Finding a room where the young person feels comfortable will really help them to relax and contribute. I know, however, that this is really difficult to do in schools and colleges, just to find a room which is free for an hour or so. We just need to do our best here, but recognise that we can only have what we have to work with. I've done person-centred reviews in what feels like broom cupboards, but do you know what? They've been better reviews than those held in the head's office. As part of the preparation, it's important that you have permission to take photos if you need to, and to agree the ground rules with the young person and the family so that they feel comfortable. Setting up is really important, making sure that the room is welcoming with resources, chairs and refreshments ready. Make sure that you have the room for as long as you need it. You don't want people trying to turf you out after half an hour. So this graphic illustrates what the review might look like. Person-centred reviews are well known for having flip charts on the wall and may well look like this. Remember, having pieces of paper on the wall with words like important to and what's working and not working doesn't make them person-centred. We can have these headings up, hold a meeting where we ignore the young person for an hour. What makes it person-centred is involving the young person in the conversation we're having, using the headings as indicators or a framework for our conversation. Yes, we can do this with flip charts on the wall, but equally we can have the same conversation recording it on pieces of A4. The principles are simple. Involve the young person, have equality of contribution and be transparent. How you agree with the young person to do this is what will make it person-centred. So what are the headings and how do they help to gather information for the Education, Health and Care Plan? And, importantly for those of you who have been doing person-centred reviews for years, how is this process different to the old one? Well, don't worry about that. We'll explain the differences as we go through. The Who's Here section records the information about who's contributed to the plan. What we appreciate about the young person will inform section A, as this is information that can help us to develop their aspirations and help us to think about where and how we can use those gifts, skills and qualities to contribute to community, friendship and employment. Aspirations for the future are recorded in section A. Don't forget about the aspirations tool here. In the Old Style review we looked at what was important in the future. We believe that using the word aspirations helps us to think bigger and more creatively, ensuring that our outcomes are more aspirational too. What's important to the young person is information about the things that really matter to the person, the things that would cause a level of anxiety or frustration if they weren't present in their lives. Those of you who can't be separated from your mobile phones, think about how you would feel if you got to work and you realised that you'd left your mobile phone sat on the kitchen table. How would you feel? Cross? Anxious? Not able to settle into your day? Now think about why it is that you feel those things. Is it because your family can't contact you? Is it because you can't keep up to date with what's happening on Facebook or Twitter? Is it because all those precious photos are on there and you're worried about where you left your phone? Is it because your diary is logged on there along with your contacts, reminders and notes and you actually can't function without it? Now think about what's important to you. Is it your phone, or is it about being in contact with loved ones, or is it about being organised and efficient? This is what we need to think about recording in this section. Those of you used to facilitate in the old style person-centred review will see that this next section, what is important for the young person, is a new heading. Although it comes from the fundamental person-centred thinking tool of sorting important to and important for, so you'll be familiar with it, we have in the past taken this to how best to support. In the context of education, health and care plans, however, it's really important to detail what is important for the young person in terms of their assessed need. So is it important for the young person to develop their independent travel skills and be able to get the bus to college? Is it important for them to take the medication to control seizures or to follow an exercise program with the physio? Or is it important for them to learn how to use money? Next we have, what does good support look like? This gives us detail about the direct support someone receives. Some of this information may not end up in the education, health and care plan, but it might be in the paperwork that supports them in that specific place. This is based on what other people need to know or do to support them. So, know that I work best if I sit by the door in the classroom, as this relieves my anxiety about being able to leave the room. Or, know that I become anxious in busy environments. Always check that a shop or a cafe isn't too busy before you take me in. Or, know that I have a processing delay of approximately 2 minutes. Give me time to reply, and if you need to repeat what you've said, use the same words. The what's working and what's not working section is a really powerful part of the review, and it's similar to the old style review. What's different is that we look at what's working and not working from different perspectives around the 4 life outcome areas. This helps us to be more specific about the areas in the young person's life that are working or not working. They also act as prompts and ensure that we're looking holistically at the young person's life. Questions to answer section, well, this does what it says on the tin. It's a place where anyone can record any questions that they need answers to, and we make sure that we answer this within the review. The Outcomes, Provisions and Targets section is where we record the agreed outcomes, provision, targets and actions to inform section E of the Education, Health and Care Plan. So, in setting up the review, this is what it could look like. Here you can see the headings put up for Joe's review. But if you already have information from other people prior to the review, you'll be able to set it up like this so we can see that information is already available. So, to begin the meeting, you need to introduce yourself, or the young person can do this if they want to. You then need to facilitate around so that everybody introduces themselves, saying who they are in the young person's life, and this can be recorded on the Who's Here sheet. It's important then to agree the ground rules with everyone, as these will be agreed with the young person and the family within preparation. You can use a meeting map, as you can see here, to explain what's going to happen during the meeting. Have the ground rules written up, along with any roles such as timekeeper, facilitator, and the person responsible for hospitality. To start the meeting, we then move on to the next heading, which is around appreciation. Again, during preparation, it's important to find out from the young person how they want to hear this. For some young people, they like to hear from everyone, and the facilitator writes this down. It can be done using stick-its, and the facilitator reads them out, or it can be done as part of the mingling time. The young person feels that they might struggle with this bit. For one young lady that I supported who was blind, she didn't want to hear what people said, so we asked people to write their contributions up, and then her mum went over who said what with her at home, and she felt much more comfortable about hearing those things there. If there is information already contributed, it's important to go over what is there to ensure that everyone has the same information and that we all agree that it is accurate. We then have our mingling time where we invite people to add any other further information that they might have. It's important here that we make sure that both the young person and the family are fully supported and able to contribute. And here's somebody contributing to Joe's review. And this is what it looks like when other people have added to it. Once we're happy that we have all the necessary information, we need to start to develop our person-centred outcomes. It's really important to start with aspirations here, as this helps us to move in the right direction. As Stephen Covey says, we need to start with the end in mind. We then need to develop our person-centred outcomes based on maintaining or building on what's working, changing what's not working, and moving the young person towards their aspiration. As we formulate the outcomes, we need to make sure that we're addressing what's important for the young person to keep them healthy and safe and being able to learn and grow as we do. We have an 8-step process to developing person-centred outcomes. And if you'd like more detail on that, please look on our website and YouTube channel where you can find plenty of information. We've got a paper and a blog that's available. We have an animate that's available about that as well as the graphic. So here we come to some top tips about developing person-centred outcomes. Find out what success would look like for the young person. Ask what it is that's important to them about this, and if there's anything we need to pay attention to keep them healthy and safe. Then we can draft our outcomes. Now we need to test the outcome to see if it's well formed and we haven't embedded the solution in the outcome. To do this, we can ask 3 questions. The first one is, what would that give you? Then what would that do for you? And then what would that make possible for you? Once we're happy with the outcome, we need to think creatively about the things we can do to achieve these outcomes. It's really useful during the process to have an outcomes ideas section to help form those outcomes, a little bit like this in Joe's review. Once we're happy with the outcomes, we need to check that the outcomes and provision we've identified will prepare the young person to lead a full life, making it more likely that they'll move into paid work, can live independently, have friends and relationships and be part of their community. We need to check that it addresses their needs, reflects the things that are important to them, changes things that are not working and moves them towards their aspirations. To make sure that the information we're recording will develop the education, health and care plan, we need to check that the provision is appropriate in the context of the personal budget if the young person has one. We need to make sure that our action plan is clear, that targets are measurable and specific, and decide what else needs to happen to finalise the education, health and care plan. Good practice here would be to collect information required for working together for change, so that information can be used to inform strategic commissioning. Again, we've got more information about this on our YouTube channel and our website. Finally, we need to close the meeting by ensuring that everyone knows what the next steps are and ask everyone in turn to share one thing that they've appreciated about the review meeting. So that concludes my presentation on the Preparing for Adulthood review process. What I'd like you to think about is what you can be doing next to make sure that you're fully involving young people in the development and the review of their education, health and care plans. Any ideas? Please post them on Facebook or Twitter, and let's get the conversation moving. We'll move on to any questions that you've asked, and I'll try to answer what I can. If there's anything that I can't answer today, I'll be sure to get back to you. If you've got any questions, it would be great to see you writing them now. It doesn't look like we've got any questions at the moment, so if you have any questions afterwards, please contact me on Facebook or Twitter, and I'll be happy to answer them. I'll just give you a minute or so to see if there's anything that comes through. Okay, we haven't got any questions, so thank you very much for your time. It's been lovely speaking to you, and I hope that you've enjoyed the session. Bye.